Will today be another victory post-game show for the Phillies? We hope so. Welcome in the PHLY Phillies post-game show. We've got John Foley, myself, Renee, Washington. It is 8-6. The Phillies keep getting a little bit of a lead. The Braves keep crawling back. And we are now in the top of the ninth, preparing to hopefully have a victory post-game show. Lots to talk about from today's game. It feels like it's been a very long time since we last had a show because of the holiday break and everything. And just so much that has changed over the last couple of days. But John, hope you had a good 4th of July. Excited to be back.
I did. Hope you had a good 4th as well. The Phillies don't like to make it easy, huh?
No, not at all.
It's a big series against the Braves, you know. You got a chance to sort of bury them here before the break. Or at least even if you take 2 out of 3, you've got a 10-game lead. You're feeling pretty good. So sort of a sneaky and important series here in early July.
Yeah, it is. And that's a great point. I mean, you think about the timing of this with the Phillies having some injuries right now. We have the All-Star break coming up. We've got, obviously, it's a great divisional matchup against the Braves and a chance to continue to show that everything that Phillies have done this season is not a fluke. And what I really enjoy most about this is when you think about the Phillies and even today's broadcast, it still feels like they're not getting the full respect that this team deserves, because every national broadcast that we see, every like non-NBC sports broadcast that we see, I find myself like, wait a minute, aren't the Phillies the best team in baseball right now? Aren't the Braves going to catch the Phillies? Well, I love these chances to continue to put some respect on the Phillies name, because around the league, it's still the Braves, the Dodgers, the Yankees, and I still feel like people are sleeping on this team. They are without Bryce Harper, without Kyle Schwarber, without JT Realmuto, and they are still winning games. They just came off beating the Cubs, and they're hopefully, if this can continue, going to beat the Braves game 1.
Yeah, I mean, you know what though, it might be better that way. Let them go ahead and keep on sleeping until October, and then we'll see what this Phillies team can do.
That's true. It's all about who gets the last laugh, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like the last couple of years, the Braves were so dominant in the regular season, and then Phillies took them out. So, you know, just the opposite can happen too. We'll have to see. But for now, you know, we should enjoy this.
That's a great point. I mean, when you really think about, I'd rather them be a quiet underdog and have people sleeping on them, and they completely, you know, go into the postseason with that chip on their shoulder, ready to prove people wrong, ready to show people that, you know, this team has what it takes. And so I'm all for it. Continue to sleep on the Phillies, continue to have all the discussion around everything in terms of national broadcast, Apple TV broadcast. The only plus is I can easily watch Apple TV on my phone. I will say that as a positive.
Yeah, I know that it bothers so many people because everybody has run through the free trial periods now. So now,
yes, me too.
You have to sign up for real if you want to catch, like, I don't know, the Phillies been on Apple TV so much. So
I didn't realize my free trial had expired, and I'm like, oh no.
That's how they get you.
And they did have this like offer they just put out, trying to get people to watch for free and whatever. I'm like, all right, just give us the games on TV. Let's simplify this all.
Yeah, just put them on TV.
It's simple. But we do have Christian Pache up right now. What's that?
It's worse than cable at this point. You have to have 20 different streaming services and the prices. We should just go back to cable.
I feel that. Having to click through all the different apps and everything, might as well have cable. So right now we've just had, oh boy. All right. That was it. 7, 8, 9 done. Jeff Hoffman looks like he's coming out right now. We are heading into the bottom of the ninth. Oh yeah, we got Hoffy on the mound. Christian Pache Christian Pache, not Pache, wasn't able to keep that inning alive. The Phillies have struggled with the runners in scoring position tonight. You saw that early on where they were leaving guys stranded. It took until the fourth inning for them to actually score with a runner in scoring position. They had bases loaded. They had a few opportunities early on. And so did not love that part of it. But I did enjoy the fact that once the Phillies got rolling, they yet again scored first, which has continued to be the theme. Win or lose, they have continued to score first. And also, once the fourth inning rolled around, you saw them really getting after Max Fried a lot. And to have you score 3 runs against Max Fried in 1 inning, and he's given up 3 runs on the last 17 and 2/3 innings that he's pitched. But fantastic to see the Phillies yet again against another good pitcher do what they've been doing really well, get time high in the pitch count, get after them, attack them. And you saw that today as well against Max Fried, who's been pitching really well for the Braves.
Yeah, it's great. Trey Turner just stepped up, hit another 2 more home runs today. I mean, you can't say enough about the job he's done in the absence of some of your other big bats. This offense, you talk about the runners in scoring position. It doesn't feel like it because you always notice the runners that are left stranded and not the runners that get knocked in. But they're actually one of the better teams in the league at hitting with runners in scoring position. And it's interesting, but they still do. Somebody asked me to check on this earlier tonight on Twitter. They still do. They're in the top 3 teams in terms of most runners left on base every game. But part of that's because they get so many runners on base. So it's a blessing and a curse a little bit. They're getting so many runners on that even though they get a good amount of those runners home, there's always going to feel like so many missed opportunities because of how often these guys are getting on base.
That's a good way to look at it. The numbers don't paint the full picture, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's more to it than just leaving men stranded. It's the fact they're actually getting on base. And look, it took the Braves until the fourth inning to get a hit. So in all honesty, there's some things I was taking note of the Phillies have some good problems compared to some other teams. And one of them is leaving runners stranded means you're getting on base, means you're getting hits. Some teams aren't even getting hits. There we go.
And Renee, you mentioned Nola. I mean, that's the Aaron Nola special right there. Untouchable through 4. Yeah. You have a perfect game or no hitter going, and then all of a sudden here comes the home run ball. But he managed it. It was a quality start. Despite 2 home runs, 6 innings, 3 runs. I mean, you'll take that against. This is still a really good Braves team. And they're not the team they were last year when everyone had a career season. But they're still a force, and they know as well as the Phillies do that this is a big series in terms of if they're going to have a chance in the division, the Braves really have to at least take 2 out of 3. It feels like anyway. The math, obviously, anything could happen, but it feels like Braves. You got to imagine the Braves are coming to play this series and really going to leave it all out there on the field. And that's how an 8-3 games turns into an 8-6 game.
All their runs off of home runs is wild. As Jeff Hoffman just pitches, it's the 0-2 count. Alec Bohm makes the catch. That ball was sky high.
All right.
That was a really confusing one. So there's 1 out. Everyone was going after it. It's right now. That was a really, really weird play, actually. That ball went straight up in the air. But 8-6, and you look at the 6 as you talk about those 6 runs, all scored off of home runs. The 2 through 4 of the lineup for the Braves is all they've got right now. That's consistently producing offensively for them. And that's where all the runs came from. And that's where the Braves have, honestly, they've struggled. They've been averaging, I know they were talking about on the broadcast, averaging about 3.1 runs per game ever since Ron Acuna got injured. 3rd worst team across the league in stolen bases since he got injured. The speed's not there. The offense is not clicking the same way. But when you look at guys like Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, they still have a lot of talent on this team. They still can, absolutely win games, come back. They've been lingering this entire game. I would have loved this to have been. I mean, it's good. It's good for baseball. Don't get me wrong, but they just continue crawling back. Matt Olson, obviously, this is a very talented team for sure.
Yeah, and it's a shame they don't have Acuna, and it's a shame Spencer Strider went down. You would love for the Phillies to be battling it out with a full strength Braves team, but the Phillies aren't going to shed any tears for them. They've got their own problems. You've got Bryce Harper sideline, Kyle Schwarber, Turner. You see imagine what he could have done in this lineup the whole time he was out. So every team deals with injuries. The great thing about the Phillies is they built that depth, and that's what they really focused on in the offseason. Didn't land a big star or anything like that, like we've sort of become accustomed to. But they built the depth. They had the depth pieces that, one guy goes down, you can plug someone else in there.
Yeah.
You got to hope that they get full strength for the postseason at this point.
Exactly.
Honestly, you can already start thinking about that. It's beautiful.
That's the thing. It's time to start. When you look at the depth that we're seeing, and we'll talk about it today on this show in much more detail as Johan Rojas catches another out. So there's 2 outs. Eli White is up to bat for the Braves. Very, very solid performance by Jeff Hoffman. So 2 outs. This could be game here, guys. This could be game. It could be win number 200 for Aaron Nola, which would be very exciting.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. But what's up? We've got the Boz in the house. We've got Mr. Krabs. We've got Frank Barber. Everyone that's tuned in on Twitter, on YouTube. This should be game. Eli White, get him out of here. Jeff Hoffman, end this game. Let's close this up. Put a bow on it, 8-6, so we can head into our victory post-game show. But as you talk about the depth, we'll get into because I cannot get over how this team is playing. Without Kyle, without JT, without Bryce. I cannot get over some of the production that we've seen. That next man up mentality. Trey Turner, we're looking at you. Got to talk about him, of course. Plus, just in general, the pitching and every game, I feel like we're still learning about this team. And I even find myself feeling a little bit surprised at times, like, pinch me, this is almost too good to be true, when you look at the way that the Phillies have been playing so consistently, even with injuries, even with, all the London series travel and all the travel they've been doing in general. I love the fact that this team is like handling all the adversity and just continues to keep rolling.
Yeah, it's great. It almost feels like they started winning so much that they they just became accustomed to it. And then even when you lose some guys that you think would be key, that okay, now here comes. We all keep waiting as Phillies fans. We all keep waiting for well, here's the rough patch, here's the downturn, here's where things go sideways. Especially when the injuries start piling up, but it just doesn't matter. It seems there we go, bang, game over. Yeah. So yeah, no matter who's in the lineup, they just seem to figure it out. Today was Trey Turner coming up big. Rojas, I know we'll get into Yoro's performance, but another win, just pile them up.
Another win, guys. We've got officially a victory post-game show. The Phillies took care of business. They win game 1 against the Braves. Another series, the Phillies start off winning game 1. Another game they start off scoring first. This team continues to be fantastic to watch. It was a great win. It was a great opportunity to see who else was going to step up today. We wondered who it was going to be. We saw Trey. We saw Aaron have a solid outing. We saw Rafael Marchand. I know the Boz is talking about Rafael in the chat. Absolutely fantastic to see how many pieces to this puzzle step up when needed. Yes, it was a great win, Vince. And it's always a great win when we have a post-game show and we have a chance to now have some fun, talk about winning, talk about all the fun numbers and stats, and of course have a chance to love that they also beat the Braves and held them to 6 runs. So great times when the team is winning. And guys, what else can be really great for you? That's being able to take advantage of making some bets and also being able to get in on the fun with some of the action with our friends over at Bet Parks Casino. Because when you are at Bet Parks Casino, you get to take advantage of all the great deals. Bet Parks Casino is perfect for that after work get together. It's beautiful outside this time of year, so we enjoy having a chance to go out for date night or girls' night out. If you want to go grab some drinks with your friends over at Bet Parks Casino, you can not only have a chance to sip on some delicious drinks, soak up the warm weather in the summer fun, but also enjoy the good vibes right at Parks Casino. Parks Casino is how you win, because with Parks Casino, you get the opportunity to enjoy. They've got $5 drafts of various beers like their Parks Pills. They've got $5 glasses of their Cabernet. They've got $5 Twisted Tea frozen whiskey and Arnold Palmer's. Deals on deals on deals, which we love to save money, have some fun, and be able to hang out with your friends. And as summer is here, you want to make sure that you are headed out to Parks Casino, the #1 casino in Philly, as they've got tons of slots, live tables, games for you, all the fun you need to enjoy at Parks Casino. So they also have some great events coming up. September 27th, 20 days after my birthday, don't forget it. They've got Tiffany Haddish in the house, as they are going to be having a great show with Tiffany Haddish at Parks Casino. So get all the details and tickets for all the shows at parkscasino.com. You can visit parkscasino.com. Of course, you got to be 21 or older. If you've got a gambling problem, go to 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino, this is how you win. And guys, we love to win with everything we do. And we also love to make sure that we're winning when it comes to getting some great jobs, because there's a great opportunity today for you to be able to take advantage of getting a job, getting hired. Listen, the job market is competitive. It's difficult out here trying to find a job. And if you're looking for a great place to search for that job, Indeed's got you covered. Over at Indeed, they are the best spot to search, whether you're looking for a job or looking to hire to fill a job. You can use Indeed. They are going to make sure, as a platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to their Indeed data, they want to make sure to match you with the correct jobs. They've got scheduling is easy for you. Can screen, they take advantage of screening, messaging, so you can connect quicker with candidates if you're hiring. So as a candidate or as a job that's with your recruiter that's looking to find somebody to hire, Indeed is the place to take care of that. And one great thing about Indeed is they just make hiring so easy. We love convenience. We love everything being simplified. They have the personal aspect of being able to message candidates, reaching out to them. And also, as a listener of this show, you're going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by, of course, letting them know you heard about Indeed on this podcast at PHLY Phillies podcast. Again, that's Indeed.com/AllCity to take advantage. Terms and conditions do apply. If you need to hire, just use Indeed. All right, it is another victory post-game show, everybody. Woo!
Let's
Come on
go.
in, bring the good vibes, because Trey Turner is very good, Landry. The Phillies are not only continuing to extend their lead, as Colin is reminding us, now 10 games up against the Braves. You beat the Braves to hold on to that nice 10-game lead. It was a little close for comfort, Corey, but we're going to unpack all the details because a lot of fun just went down. It was a good game for baseball, but it was also a great game for Aaron Nola to get number 200. He's been sitting on the doorsteps of it. And I guess that does officially count as his career win. Great to see for Aaron Nola to have that opportunity. And with that, the Phillies still continue to be the best team in baseball, guys. Beating the Braves 8-6. The Braves did not go away easy, which we did not expect. Apple TV broadcast. I know Philly 007 saying hopefully that's the last Apple TV game for the Phillies. It's not. We're going to have more. But
there's so many Apple TV games. But yeah, I mean, they just keep rolling. You wake up every day and, we have our concerns about this team. We worry about Whit Merrifield and his average. We worry about the fifth starter. You wake up every day, you look at the standings. That's the best team in baseball still. So, and it doesn't mean they don't have things to address at the trade deadline, but right now everything looks good. They just beat the Braves, and basically Trey Turner provided all the offense, and Rojas stepped up. And yeah, Renee, you mentioned Nola, 200th win. That's a fantastic milestone. And this is a guy who's going to end up near the top of every category in terms of Phillies pitching. I think he's been with the team so long that sometimes familiarity can breed contempt, right? So you see him serve up a home run ball after they score, and there goes Nola again, because you've seen it a lot, but that's because he's been in Philly for so long. And if you really look at his numbers and what he's doing, it's historic as a Phillies pitcher.
Yeah, truth is, when that fourth inning rolled around, I was like, oh no, is this it? Is this the wrap for fourth inning? Is it about to unfold? Should we be nervous? But literally in that moment, you saw Aaron Nola settle in. You saw the Phillies settle in general. And it's not wrap for fourth inning Nola, guys. It's okay. But Aaron Nola did have a nice showing today. It was great to see. And, for him to be able to have a chance to Go out there. I always enjoy when you see a pitcher give up a run, especially a home run, and they don't get rattled. And tonight, Aaron Nola did that. He's now 10-4 on the season with a 3.48 ERA. We saw a really good pitching matchup, which we also expected with Max Fried and Aaron Nola, two great pitchers for their respective clubs. And Aaron Nola did what he was supposed to do. You know, you got the support from Orion, Jeff, Jose. He was there. But it was nice to see Aaron Nola, I think, finally also get that 200th, get that milestone, and get a nice chance to be able to beat the Braves in Atlanta at that.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's no easy feat to go up against this lineup. But, we talked about it that the Braves aren't maybe what they were last year, but this is a great team. The thing about Nola this year compared to some previous seasons, when the difference between his good seasons and his bad seasons seems to be when those home run balls come, are there runners on base? And he's doing a fantastic job. He's still giving up the home run balls. I think it's partly a function of how he attacks the plate. He's not nibbling around. I think tonight, no walks, eight strikeouts, maybe one or two walks. But if you're continuing to attack and you're not putting runners on base, once in a while you're going to get burned by the home run ball. But a solo home run and a 2-run home run, okay, you can get by on that, especially if Trey Turner swinging the bat the way he did tonight.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you look at right now, the performances that we've seen, you get the support for Aaron Nola that you take the mound up 3-0. As Greg MC is saying, it is a passing of the torch. It feels like it's the Phillies division for the next several years. Yeah. This is a great group that we're seeing here. The foundation is there. And
for the next several years, I love it.
Several years. We're going to manifest this. Everybody here, you heard it. Several years. And it's not a cockiness. It's
I think you're right. I think you're right.
You hear them talking. I mean, Bryce Harper was talking about it during that very long in-game interview. We've heard it from several of the guys about how this is truly a family. This is truly a spot where you have a chance to, just be able to enjoy showing up every day. And when you can go to the ballpark and not only are you winning, which is contagious in itself, but you're also having fun playing all these games, traveling around with your teammates. And it's everybody that's contributing, which also I feel like helps contribute to that great positive atmosphere that they have right now. You have a game that you beat the Braves, and the Braves had errors and a lot of mistakes, but overall, the Phillies, every guy had a hit. Every guy. So, okay.
Everybody hits.
Everybody's hitting. On the other side for the Braves, it's like, oh no, if it's not 2 through 4, they're not getting any production. The only guys that are able to help them score are, they're 2 through 4. No, not the Phillies. Everybody. And the bottom of the batting order, Johan Rojas, Yoro, Whit Merrifield, guys, Mr. No-Hit Whit did get a hit today. You also had Christian Pache, guys, that's how you say his last name. They're all delivering for you. It's not even just Edmundo Sosa. It's not just Trey's multi-home run game. The second time this week he's had a multi-home run game. You are getting great contribution throughout the lineup where there's never a moment for a pitcher to have a chance to catch their breath or even for the other team to have a chance to kind of like fall asleep. You have to pay attention. Nick Castellanos is delivering. So it's just so great to see the little things that are coming together for this team continuously. It is going to be Ranger tomorrow. I know you guys are curious about it. We got Ranger tomorrow. After Nola goes out there today and puts on a great performance, oh yeah, we've got Ranger tomorrow. But this is one of the things that I love that I saw posted earlier, and it's actually the Cy Young odds right now for FanDuel, actually. Top 10 for the NL Cy Young, 4 of them are Phillies. Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola, and Christopher Sanchez, who did struggle. Obviously, we saw Sanchez struggle this week. This was the first time we've seen him struggle in a while. But you have your 1 through 4 pitchers are best in the league, best right now in ERA. The numbers that we're seeing from them, it has been such a beauty to watch this group. And so on both sides, the pitching, but also the hitting, you're getting that consistent delivery. Not every team can say that. Who can say, their bottom of the order guys are coming in, getting a single or helping score runs?
Yeah, just contributions everywhere. You know, I hadn't noticed that. That's a great point. Everybody in the lineup had a hit today. Bohm had a sneaky, quiet 3 hits. He's got his average back up to 300. 2 hits for Castellanos. Turner, obviously. Stott was getting on base in front of Turner. Turn those into 2-run home runs. You know, contributions everywhere. And then down at the bottom of the lineup, Rojas just sort of wreaking havoc with his speed. You saw the Braves, you know, those errors they committed. You got to think it's at least in part due to the pressure. They know how fast Rojas is, and then you have to rush a throw, and next thing you know, the ball's flying all around the field. So it's great, and and then to have Ranger stepping up for tomorrow's game, this is, you know, it's an embarrassment of riches. Nola goes out there tonight, and, you know, if the Braves think, well, at least we got Nola out of the way, well, there's a few more guys coming that are also having great seasons. It's incredible. And Sanchez, you know, he had the one rough game. I think each of those big 4 starters has now had at least one clunker, and that's just going to happen from time to time. We know that. So you know, Sanchez is going to be fine. I think it came right on the heels of his complete game. So, you know, we're not going to worry about Sanchez. It's really those contributions coming from everybody in the lineup, just about everybody in the rotation, and you know, the number 5 spot, maybe Mercado's got to help out there. But it's not the same feeling as previous years. And in the last couple of years, it really felt like, all right, let's just eke our way into the playoffs, and then Nolan Wheeler will give us a shot. And this is completely different. This is the whole team's there, firing on most cylinders. And when they get healthy, they're going to be hard to beat. They're going to be a very tough out, to say the least. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, this is insane that when we saw careful, John. When we saw,
I'm all right. I'm okay.
We saw, and actually I need to double check that it was career win number 200 and not 100, because now I'm realizing I think I had the wrong number. But either way, when we saw Bryce go down, when we saw Kyle go down, in those moments, you easily this team could have folded. And a lot of question was around, where is the contribution going to come from next? How are they going to get through this time? Oh no, can they make it without having Kyle, without having Bryce, on top of already missing JT, who's been playing tremendously this season? And every question we continue to have about this team also continues to get answered. Who's going to produce? Here comes Trey Turner, back from injury. We wondered how he'd return back from being out for 6 weeks with his hamstring. Trey Turner comes back. He's now had 4 home runs this week. 4 home runs this week for Trey Turner. 2 multi-home run games for Trey Turner. He had a 459-foot home run. That was a 108.4 mile per hour, 29 launch angle bomb. Trey Turner has come back right on time, right on cue, helping this squad out. And as I know Colin is saying in the chat, he is absolutely on fire right now. And you see him, the biggest thing that he keeps talking about is not trying to do too much. Trey Turner is playing within himself. He's just doing what he does best. He's giving you good at-bats. He's making great plays at shortstop. We're not getting the errors. We're getting great plays by Trey Turner at shortstop. And for him to be able to step up right now when they need production, you know, you're getting hits from everybody today, but you needed somebody to put you over the edge. And that was Trey Turner. He was the difference maker and helping this offense really get going. And you think about the 4th inning, Trey Turner, a big part of that. Obviously, Bryson Stott as well. You know, these are the guys, Nick Castellanos, Trey, Bryson, Alec, who we haven't even mentioned yet, which is wild with how well Alec's been playing. These are the guys that you can lean on in a moment like this. And with this pressure they could have easily folded and made excuses around. Instead, you're getting production from all of them. You get an RBI ground out for Bryson Stott. You get the home runs for Trey Turner. You get Alec Bohm. He gets the first hit of the game, a 2-out double in his first at-bat, because this team also does great when there's 2 outs. And they have been fantastic. I think they're still top in the league. I don't have the exact number in front of me, so sorry. Top in the league for 2-out doubles, scoring runs, getting hits. They have been able to keep innings alive, playing bunting, small ball, home runs. The Braves score on all 3 home runs. The Phillies, you look at their offensive production today, we got a little bit of everything. That's what makes this team so difficult. Their pitching's unpredictable, but also their hitting is unpredictable. And you never know what they're going to bring to the plate.
Exactly. They can beat you in so many different ways. Nola it didn't end up as Nola's best night. It wasn't too bad. But some nights, that Nola that you had through the first 4 innings, you might keep that going through 7 or 8 innings, and they'll beat you like that. Sometimes it'll be Harper hitting a couple home runs. Schwarber's going to win a few games by himself. Today was Trey Turner, and it's beautiful that we finally get the Trey Turner that John Hamm had promised in that narrated hype video. The power, the speed, and the power out of Trey Turner just consistently amazes me because he's not a big guy. It looks so effortless. Just the nights went in. He's hitting at 430 feet. Can't say enough about Trey Turner. And yeah, Renee, I think it's huge. They can just you don't know what you're going to get on any single night, whether it's going to be the pitching, the offense, the defense, but you do know they're going to have a good chance out there. Colin called it World Baseball Classic Trey Turner, and that's exactly what we're seeing. The guy who took over the World Baseball Classic last year, and really showed off. That's what he's doing right now.
That's exactly it. And you needed this from Trey. And we wondered, one of the things that we had talked about is if we had Trey Turner playing at a level all season the way he played after August of last year, what would that look like for this team? And we're getting post-ovation Trey all season consistently, and that has been such a huge part of what this team's been successful around. He's playing consistent. He's playing steady. It is World Baseball Classic Trey, but it is just him. It feels like for him and the Phillies, they're not in their own head. They're not overthinking. They're just playing. They're just having fun. And again, like we keep saying, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when you're having fun playing baseball and you don't have to overthink things, Nick was in his own head, got out of it, got to spend time at Liam, and he's been great. From May, he progressed, and then into June, and then we're seeing it into July. We're seeing Trey coming back from injury. You miss 6 weeks, and you just come right back in without missing a beat, and actually come back in just as you could argue playing even better.
No rehab assignment, just jump right back into the major leagues against the best baseball players in the world and not miss a beat. That's impressive, Trey Turner.
Yeah.
Who hits around 340 these days? Nobody. Plus power and speed. I mean, he could make a living in baseball just off that average alone. So yeah, we got post-ovation Trey. You've got guys coming back. Harper, Schwarber, Real Muto. It's really going to be a fun second half of the season, I think.
It is. And then on top of that, you're stealing bases. Whit Merrifield with a couple stolen bases. They had 4. And as we talked about with runners in scoring position, for everybody that's stressing out about the fact that Phillies have left guys stranded, they went 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. But as we continue with the positive spin cycle, the spinorama is 11. Whereas the Braves were 1 for 3 because they couldn't get on base. So there's a positive for you that we can always fix and it can be better. Don't get me wrong. But it at least is something that you can take away as like, all right, positive spin, like you mentioned earlier, John. They're also one of the best with runners in scoring position, I think you said. And to clarify, it was win number 100 for Aaron. That's my bad. But I'm just manifesting 200. So
200 sounded like a lot. We'll get there. We'll get the 200. But yeah, I mean, Nola did a great job today. Again, it really feels like when these home runs come to give them, that's the flip side of, some other pitchers, they might not give up the home runs, but they're out there, they're nibbling, they're walking guys, everyone starts to get frustrated, and then they give up the home run with 2 or 3 guys on base. At least Nolan's just going out there attacking. It is 0 walks, 8 Ks tonight. And if you're going to hang around the plate, once in a while you're going to get burned against good offense like the Braves, but you got to feel really good about where Nola is right now. And we'll see Ranger tomorrow, which again, just you got. I'm never going to feel for the Braves, but
ever
it's tough for these guys. They got to go. They got to go back now. They're down 10 games. If they have any hopes of winning the division, you got to think they're fading unless they come out and get a win tomorrow, and they got to deal with Ranger Suarez, who should be starting the National League the All-Star game for the National League. So that's a tough assignment for Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know in the chat you guys have some questions. We'll get into the injury updates around Bryce and Kyle and JT. There have been some updates. I know 3-Card Monty's asking about it. Also the questions about like what you would do in terms of, that's a great question, Philly 007. This is a legitimate question that we keep getting about the closer. If the Phillies need a true closer and, or if they don't, what do they do with the trade deadline fast approaching? What should the Phillies be looking to do to continue to round things out? So there are lots of positives. And as you talk about Greg MC in the chat, I know you were mentioning the second half of the season, you really get excited thinking about if this is what the team looks like now, what are they going to continue to look like when you do have Bryce, Kyle, and JT back, when the season progresses, when you get past, I mean, a lot changes after the All-Star break in baseball. Like it's a whole different season post All-Star break. So I am so excited to see what this group is going to look like because it just makes you know that there's some special things to come for this group here. And guys, you know what? All this excitement, I don't know about you, it makes me want to think of going into my fridge and grabbing a nice, cool Miller Lite. Miller Lite! Our friends over at Miller Lite do a tremendous job providing you guys with the refreshing cold beer that doesn't feel heavy. I don't know about you guys, but I can't stand when I'm drinking a beer and I just feel heavy and bloated. With Miller Lite, they've got some great options for you. I love their different types of bottles and cans because sometimes you want to have a cute can, sometimes you want to have a bottle, but either way, you're always going to get that same delicious taste with Miller Lite. And our friends over at Miller Lite give you the great taste that has made them such a tremendous beer for many years, but it's less filling. That is the key. That's the best thing about the original light beer, which is Miller Lite. It's always Miller time. And ever since 1975, Miller Lite has been providing us with the opportunities to have great taste, less filling beer, and make sure we can be out at the ballparks enjoying some delicious, refreshing beer. So as the Phillies continue winning, let's continue enjoying this moment. And what better way to do that than with Miller Lite? Miller Lite keeps it simple. They've got undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It's a beer that strips away all the extra things you do not need and gives you all the things that you want. What matters most is a light beer that tastes like beer, 96 calories, less filling. And as we are continuing to roll through and talking baseball, well, you don't have to choose what's best with Miller Lite. You can be at the ballpark with the best beer possible. Miller Lite has that great taste, less filling. It always tastes like Miller time. And to get Miller Lites, you can also get it delivered to your door. We love convenience. We love being able to sit in our houses, get that Miller Lite delivered right to your door by visiting MillerLite.com/PHLY Phillies. That's PHLY PHILS. Or you can find Miller Lite pretty much anywhere that sells beer. So you can celebrate responsibly with Miller Brewing Company. Miller Lite is from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories per 12 ounces with fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer at Miller Lite. And also, as we're talking about some great exciting things to come up, let me tell you about the fun things we've got planned here at PHLY because you today can become a diehard member of PHLY. I heard Bryce on the call today mentioning how he loves listening to Philly shows to learn about the other Philly sports teams. Well, Bryce Harper and everybody else, come listen to the sports shows right here at PHLY because we got plenty of great shows for you. If Bryce or anybody else wants to get all the details on the latest around the Sixers and Paul George, the Phillies that are 10 games ahead of the Braves and continue to be the best in baseball, the Eagles as they're rolling through the summer, maybe you want to learn more about what's going on with the Flyers coming out of the draft. We've got everything for you. The Union who are struggling. If you want to just go complain about the Union, we've got all that for you here at PHLY. You can become a diehard today and get a chance to be able to take advantage of our articles, our shows that we're watching. As a diehard or without being a diehard, you always get access to our shows. But as a diehard, you also get to be a part of our Discord so we can keep this great conversation going on our Discord channel. And then we do have some great events, including our Major League Baseball trade deadline show, because with the calendar switching in July, it means we are getting closer to that July 30th live show. We'll be at Billy Murphy's Irish Saloon, where we'll be having a fun trade deadline show. You can join Jamie, myself, Tyler, John. I think you might actually be, I don't know if you'll be there yet. We didn't plan that far ahead. But we will be out and about at the trade deadline show with you guys, and we'll have a chance to see what the Phillies are doing as the trade deadline approaches. We've also got our golf outing that's next weekend. So shout out to everybody who signed up because we have a great group that's ready for our golf outing coming up. And that's going to be a lot of fun for everybody to be a part of. Plus, we've always got some great merch for you. We dropped our Raffy shirt earlier this season for everybody that's want to be able to sport some Alec Bohm merch, we've got you covered with a nice Raffy shirt. So lots of fun in store for us here at PHLY. And of course, the fun continues when the Phillies continue winning. So with that, let's get back to the 100th career victory show of Aaron Nola and another victory show for the Phillies. For everybody in the chat, we continue talking about all the positives. There's a lot more to get into. I know you guys are talking about Jeff Hoffman. You're talking about a lot of different things here as I'm like scrolling through the chat. But we do have a lot of great problems to have. We've got a lot of fun things going on here with the Phillies, and it's not just one or two guys. When you really look at this squad, it's remarkable, and the bullpen is a big part of that. You know, you look at today, you get Orion Kirkering out there, who Orion comes right in. He's been fantastic. He's a rookie that plays so much bigger than that. The way he pitches, the different looks that you see from him, he's hard to hit. He's coming out the bullpen. Jeff Hoffman had a great day today as well to close out the game. I know the discussion continues around, do the Phillies need a true closer? Jeff Hoffman can be that closer for the Phillies. You've got Alvy that can be that guy as well. So although Alvy gave up that 3-run homer to, late in the game, it's fine. We're not going to talk about that, but the Phillies continue to have the pitching staff is delivering. The bullpen arms are looking great, and it's just fun to see this group.
Yeah, and I think there's different ways to look at the closer situation, right? You can look at it as, well, you don't have one guy. You don't have one guy that's consistently going to handle the ninth, so you don't have a true closer. I think that's what a lot of folks mean when they say true closer.
Yeah.
The other way to look at it is that they have 3 or 4 guys that are capable of being a true closer. Hoffman runs out there a lot of nights. Alvarado had a rough night tonight, but for the most part, you trust him. Strom, Kirkering, who you mentioned, Renee, he's been fantastic. And, expected good things from him because last season, he starts what, in single A, and he's pitching in the postseason for the Phillies. So you knew they had a lot of faith in him. Was a little worried about giving him such a big role straight off camp this year, but he stepped right into it. He's playing well. I know Colin mentions wouldn't trust Tyler Anthony right now. Soto has had a pretty good run. You could still have some question marks about him. But listen, these are guys who would be closers on a lot of teams. Gregory Soto was an all-star closer for the Tigers. And sometimes they come out and have bad outings. A lot of teams have closers that have bad outings. We're starting to take for granted, I think. These guys are just coming in and shutting things down once the Phillies get the lead. Alvarado gave us a reason to be nervous tonight. But again, I think he's out there. He's attacking. You're up 8-3. You don't want to start putting runners on base. Gave up the home run. As Colin said in the comment over here, I hope Ozuna enjoyed his meaningless home run.
I did not cheer when that home run happened, by the way, because Ozuna did help my fantasy team with a big boost with that nice for my team, not nice for the Phillies. So I was a little conflicted in that moment because I was like, what I enjoyed most was it didn't hurt the Phillies. The Phillies still won, and Ozuna helped my fantasy team with that home run. So spin cycle. But look, as you guys mentioned, though, and I know the closer conversation continues, but the game is evolving in a way that you don't see teams with traditional closers, just like we don't see teams with traditional starting pitchers. How many teams have we seen? Brewers, Detroit has tinkered with it, that have openers, that don't even have a traditional starting pitcher. We have, for the Phillies, you have pitchers in your 1 through 4, and even a Spencer Turnbull when he's healthy, and Taiwan can be an innings eater that can go 6-7 innings and give you a high quality start at that, not a 6 or 7 innings of you struggling. The same goes for the bullpen. You don't have to have the traditional closer anymore. You're seeing a lot more of that evolution. And I know there's been the conversation about having kind of like a, pairing it in a way where you have, instead of one true closer, maybe you've got the option of like a duo. I think I'm all for the unpredictability. Although there are great names out there. I know Tanner Scott's name has come up a ton. I know there's a lot of great closers out there that the Phillies could absolutely be eyeing. When you think of this group, one of their best strengths is it's everybody. So why would we expect them to also have one closer when they always do things by committee? Like everything from them wearing shirts to help promote getting the guys voted in as starters for the All-Star game to the daycare post-game interviews with the sprinkling of water, like everything they do is as a team, it's by committee. So I would not expect them to now shift and have a traditional closer. I do think what we will continue to see is just the guys they can utilize in high leverage situations. Orion, Jeff, and Jose. I know Jose struggled a little bit and has some people nervous, but between the three of them, and we haven't talked about Matt Strom.
Right.
But between the bullpen arms they've got, you've got so much talent there. And you have guys you really can trust, even for like a Gregory Soto and Sir Anthony, who we don't trust and we're nervous about. They've been giving you really good innings. I mean, Soto's been on a scoreless streak of 9 that he had 9 straight. You've seen at waves for each of them when they've been able to really be lights out. And like you mentioned with Aaron and the starting pitching, Sanchi just had this the other day, as the guys call him. They're going to have a game where they're going to struggle. It's a long season. But how do they get out of that? Are they going to get rattled when they give up a couple hits, or are they going to lock in and switch it up? And for each of them, you see the mix up in their pitches. It's a curveball. It's a four-seamer. They're throwing high velocity. Aaron Nola's velocity was up today. You're seeing the constant ways that each game they're getting in and out of innings clean. You don't really feel nervous as much as we used to, at least. So I think I'm all for closer by committee. And if you have now the ability, every game, it's unpredictable. It adds an extra layer. And I think these guys all know their roles too.
Yeah. I think a lot of times there's a bad connotation with closer by committee, right? Because usually it's born out of desperation. Like, no, we don't have a closer. We have a committee. They take care of closing the games. With the Phillies, it really seems strategic, right? Like if it's the 8th inning and there are some strong left-handers up, well, you bring in Alvarado and then you let Hoffman handle the knife. If the Harley orders come up for a team and they're right-handed, then you bring in Hoffman for the 8th and then Alvarado closes out in the 9th. Mix and match Strom and Kirk Ring and others how you will, but it feels strategic and planned and not just sort of who do we have tonight out of desperation. So I think that's a big difference. Now, look, would I love to have Tanner Scott also? Sure. Sure. I'm greedy. Give me everybody. But when you look at it, I think if they do at a bullpen arm, they're adding to an area of strength. I mean, I do understand that it feels more comforting when you just have, you had that guy, that 9th inning guy. You've seen him do it over and over and over. He saved however many games. And you can just count on him coming out in the 9th. I think a lot of us older baseball fans just sort of think there needs to be one guy. But, there's a method to the madness here in terms of, this inning's coming up. Here are the hitters. Who matches up best against those guys? And to be able to mix and match all these different pieces and some really great pieces at the end of the game is a great thing to have.
Yeah, and as Arthur Beischman, I'm sorry if I'm saying your last name incorrectly, Arthur. As Arthur is mentioning in the chat, the Phillies pitching staff is the best he's saying he's ever seen, top to bottom, in all decades of being a Phillies fan. Ooh. I think the issue, to be honest, like I'm going to take a step back, and I feel like the reason why we keep even having this conversation about a closer is because we don't have anything else to be worried about. We're so used to waiting for another shoe to fall off, and this is part of like. We talk about the history of being not only a Phillies fan, but a Phillies sports fan. You're so used to the other shoe falling off that you're just kind of waiting. Like, okay, what's next? What could go wrong? And the reality is this team is using a closer by committee. It's very strategic depending on who's up in the batting order, the rotation. And if this is one of our biggest concerns of do they need a closer or can they continue to rely on Jeff, Jose, Orion, and Matt, that's a good problem to have. Like this team is very dangerous. This team is very exciting. And as Philly 007 is reminding us, this team is great, even with just a couple issues. The issues that we have, injuries right now, the discussion of do they need a closer or not? And then also with the trade deadline approaching, should they go after like a center fielder? Because there's names out there to get an outfielder. But on the other side of that, you have a Johan Rojas who, and I'm glad Colin brought him up in the chat earlier because we haven't even talked about Johan Rojas and Christian Pache and Whit Merrifield. Everybody's ready to TFA Whit Merrifield and get him out of here. But then Whit has had, in the 2 July games so far, he's had a couple of hits. He's stolen some bases. Yoro got a hit. He, of course, helped score and scored a run today. Like, his base running looked a little bit better, to be honest, too. The bunt that he laid out was actually, I thought, a really good play. It was just an even better defensive play. And you got to give testament to, like, Matt Olson and the Braves, because that was just a really good defensive play. But I just feel like for Yoro, Witz, Christian, these are your bottom of your team, guys. These aren't your top. This is the bottom of your team, and they're giving you something. Rafael Marchand, who I love his game. I'm so happy to see him healthy. He's giving you something. He helped Jose out by catching the wild pitch that Jose kind of threw a little too high. Like, he's just locked in, I feel like, as a great backup catcher option. So the only things that we have to pick at, because that's what we're doing, we're looking for straws at this point, is like, do they need a closer? Do they need an outfielder? But if we're being honest, if this team rolled as is through the postseason, is anybody nervous about them not being able to go the full distance? There was a lot of negative.
No, I don't think so.
Are we encouraged that they can win it all?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I want to be pro Phillies. Let me be clear on that. That I think they could roll as is, and they would have a tremendous chance at winning the World Series. I think we get worried. We're looking at, anywhere they can just shore up any problem areas to make that run, because I think we as fans, we see it and we say, okay, you're so close. Do what you need to do to make it perfect, and let's take our best shot at this thing, because we know how they seem to be very well set up for the future as an organization, but we know how quickly things can change, and we know how things can turn south. So I know we just want to get that championship and then see what happens from there. So of course they should explore ways to get better. But Renee, just like you mentioned with the bullpen, where you've got all these different players doing their jobs that you can worry about. All right, maybe we add another one. I think the lineup is analogous, right? Because you can say once everyone's healthy, once they're full strength, and you've got Turner, Harper, Real Muto, Schwarber, boom. Castellanos has picked it up lately now. So again, you're looking for things around the margins to get better. Right. Maybe a better platoon partner for Brandon Marsh. Maybe, maybe you can upgrade there. But for the most part, you're kind of set, and it's a great position to be. And it's very different than some previous years where there really was an obvious hole that the bullpen was a mess, or they really needed. I mean, this is a complete, well-rounded team. And we're gonna worry about those small things, because that's what we do. We worry, and we're gonna look for ways to get better. We're gonna look at what might go wrong. I see Jonathan Harvey here. He says Pache and Rojas are illusions. I don't know. I think the best is yet to come. At least for Rojas. I'm pretty high on Pache too. That's a former very highly touted prospect. It's been a while now, and the offense hasn't really come around. But I have some faith in these guys. And then the thing is, the Phillies are well positioned to give Rojas some run out there in center field and see if he can. It looks like he can handle AAA pitching just fine. He had a great, stint down there. And the only way he's going to get better at hitting major league pitching is being in the major leagues. Yeah. And when you've got a lineup full of other guys who can crush the ball, that allows a guy like Rojas to develop. So,
and like we always say, if the issues are your 8th or 9th batter as the problem, you're talking about your 5th starters. I know Taijuan Walker was, of course, brought up because he is one of the struggling pieces of this group. Somebody has to be at the bottom of this team. Somebody's got to be the weak links in that sense. And if your weakest players are, I get it, Witt, Yoro, Christian Pache, Taijuan Walker, even Sir Anthony has his moments that he's not great. Absolutely. They're not fantastic every day. And their ceiling for somebody like Yoro, we don't know what his ceiling is because of his youth. And so it is easy. And I know we've all said it. I would 1,000%. I like Johan Rojas. I like the Phillies prospect. But if a deal was on the table to bring in like a Luis Robert or another ready now 25, 26-year-old outfielder that can come right in and elevate this team, as you mentioned before, John, we don't know what the remainder of the season is going to hold. So I don't want to be complacent and say like, oh, this team's perfect and they're just going to win it all. And no, it's a long season. And how many times do we actually see the best team in the regular season win the World Series? So if there's any areas that they can continue to fine tune some things, I'm all for it. And I do love the options that are out there. So I agree with that.
Yes, absolutely. To the extent there are opportunities to get better, let's do it. Yes. I'm not turning away Luis Robert Jr., anybody else for the right price, of course. I mean, the thing now, the Phillies are in a very envious situation. You have a good team right now. You've got good prospects set up to keep your organization competitive for possibly years. So, you want to go all in to a certain extent. I see Philly 007 talking about, is Luis Robert Jr. worth the trade at this point? And that's the big question, right? I think we'd all love, obviously, to have Luis Robert Jr. on the team. If it costs you somebody like Andrew Painter or Aiden Miller, I don't even want to part with Crawford.
I know.
It's tough to think about.
He had me sold when he did a backflip on our show. I don't want to lose him.
Yeah. Once I saw that backflip in Clearwater,
I'm like, you're a Philly.
No, this is our guy. We got to keep him. If the deal's right, do it. I'm sure the Phillies will. It's a strange feeling just having a little bit of confidence. It's a strange feeling for me anyway, to have a little bit of confidence in the Phillies organization that, they'll probably do the right thing. If the price is right, they'll bring him in.
I believe in them. I believe in the front office.
But I am starting to think that maybe the Luis Robert Jr. dream might die just because it's going to be such a seller's market. And I do think the Phillies like their guys, and they like, if what they really want is, so Brandon Marsh, for example, has 800 near 850 near maybe plus OPS against right-handed pitching. If you bring in some of these guys who are not super well known, but tend to just crush left-handed pitching, now you got something going on. You've cobbled together sort of an 850 OPS player, which is basically another star on a team that's already full of them. So, there are moves they can make that aren't exactly blockbusters, but that might be sneaky good, and that you have half of a star player already in Brandon Marsh. And I know a lot of people disagree on whether he needs to get more of a chance against lefties or whether you need to go a different direction. But for one thing we can all agree on is that he's going to hit righties, and you feel good about Marsh in the lineup against a right-handed pitcher. Mm-hmm. Maybe all it takes, if the price on Luis Robert Jr. is too high, maybe all it takes is going out and getting a different platoon partner, somebody that's an upgrade from what Merrifield has shown us so far. And again, I hate to pick on Merrifield. Love the signing at the time. Hasn't really worked out. I don't know how much of leash you give him at this point on a team with these sorts of goals. But again, when Renee made the point a couple times, when we're talking about areas of concern, we're talking about the fifth starter. We're talking about not even somebody this Merrifield is the 10th man, maybe 11th for Sosa, right? That we're going to worry about. So if these are our problems, we're in good shape. And I did want to touch quickly. I saw a lot of people asking in the chat about injury updates.
Yes.
So the latest news, Rob Thompson indicated that it sounds like Schwarber is 90%ish. And Harper is not far behind him, I think was the quote. So I think we can anticipate Schwarber probably coming back Tuesday when he's eligible to come off the IL. Yes, fingers crossed, knock on wood. All that salt over the shoulder. And then right on his heels, you'll probably see Harper. I think Thompson said that Harper will move around 75%. So they're getting there. Harper, I'm sure, wants to play in the All-Star game, the entertainer that he is. I'm sure he even wants to play in the Dodgers series before that, being the entertainer that he is. So hopefully the Philly staff will accurately assess where he is with the hamstring. And if we do see him back earlier than the All-Star break, you got to think that probably the Phillies have checked it out. I don't think they're going to take Harper's word for it that he's 100%. Right. I think it's going to take them seeing him run and be fine and heal up and run again before they let him go out there. But you know what? If he gets healthy and he's healthy, then the other thing Thompson said was if they're ready to go, then they're ready to go. they're not going to sit a healthy player just for the idea of, okay, well, we've got the All-Star break coming up.
Right.
And we can get all this extra time. If there's any lingering concerns, yes, I think we'll do that. Just push it to the All-Star and past the All-Star break. Soft tissue injuries always worrisome. I agree. You want to be super cautious. I'm sure the team will be. But all indications are that you'll see Schwarber really soon, probably Tuesday. Harper and Real Muto, maybe I would say Harper has a better shot than Real Muto to come back before the All-Star break, and after the All-Star break, wow, you might really have a lineup that strikes some fear into opposing teams' hearts, and you've got this benefit of guys like Sosa. While Turner was down, Sosa got all that play. He's got to be feeling good. With Real Muto out, we learned something about Stubbs and Marchand.
Every time I think I get it, I overthink it. Marchand.
Our two catchers,
yes,
have performed really well in Real Muto's absence. I mean, I think Marchand has an OPS above 800, and Stubbs, maybe in the 600s, but that's a long way from where he was earlier in the season, playing more sporadically, where I think it was under 500. So these guys, again, just, stepping up. One guy goes down, another guy steps up. We've seen it over and over. And then you think, well, we saw it with Turner. Sosa's a pretty good player, but can they do it at catcher?
Right.
And then they kind of did it, and it's not Real Muto levels of production, but it's probably major league average.
I was going to say, especially for a backup.
And back in the third string.
Yeah, and should be backup, because I know Jackie Moon said in the chat, and I've been thinking the same thing. I do like Rafael more than Garrett as a backup catcher. The issue has always been that he can't stay healthy. But you look at his plate appearances in the majors compared to the minors, he's had significantly more home runs. In the majors, he's been much better actually at the plate, and then on top of that, he's a really solid catcher. I love the game that we're seeing from him, but we would not have seen that if JT doesn't get hurt. We don't get those incredible games for Edmundo Sosa. 32 games he played while Trey Turner was out. He had 13 extra base hits during that time, and 841 OPS, 17 RBIs, 22 runs. You don't get that if Trey Turner doesn't go out. And I'm not saying I'm happy that they got injured. Injuries are a part of sports. It's going to happen. So if you're going to have these injuries happen early in the season, and you get a chance now to see what Edmundo Sosa can do, to also, some of the lineups we've had to see out there with Witt, Yoro, Pache, it's not great at times. It doesn't, but they still are winning games with that group. They still won tonight. You beat the Braves tonight. You won game one of another series. You beat the Braves, and you don't even have your usual heavy hitters. You're not beating them behind Bryce Harper home run. You're beating them behind an incredible game by Trey Turner, where he just continues to hit home runs in this week, apparently, with now 4. And great performance from Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, whose chase rate is down. He's looking sharp. And then it's been other guys. It's been a mixture of different players that have been contributing. So I think to hear that Kyle Schwarber is going to be ready to come back possibly as soon as Tuesday, Bryce Harper's back running, JT's easing back into running and not far behind. I know they did mention they're going to kind of see if it depends on if they're healthy or not to be able to play for Bryce to be able to play in the All-Star game. That's not something that's going to be decided today. That's going to take time to figure out. This group, when you get them back, you don't even have to rush them back, by the way. If we didn't have an All-Star break, I don't think Bryce is rushing back. You don't have to rush them back. You can ease them back in. And on top of that, you are getting performances from other guys that are stepping up. As to your point about Brandon Marsh, because I saw you tweet out some great numbers about the numbers versus lefties this season. For Brandon Marsh, that does continue to be something that's extremely frustrating. We do want to see him be an everyday player. But I know Kevin Long was saying, at this point, it's not even in the conversation for Brandon Marsh to start against a lefty. He hasn't started against a lefty since May 16th. That has been that's one of those areas that, as we talk bigger picture about those minor problems, that is something that does eat away at me a little bit, because I'd love to see him getting these reps against. I want to see him out there, lefty or righty. I want to see Brandon Marsh out there. I want him to be an everyday guy, but the Phillies don't feel like he's there yet. So, okay, there's another small issue, But overall, the group has minor issues we're talking about.
Yeah, it's it's a concern. I think I am in the camp that would like to see, all right, what could Marsh do if he really got at bats against a left-hander on a consistent basis? But I think the fact that you're not seeing that tells you something about what the organization feels about where he's at and his at bats and his approach against left-handers right now. Marsh, he's one of the most beloved players on the team. We all want to see him out there every day. It's never fun to take a look at the lineup and see maybe Merrifield instead of Marsh. But the truth is, like you said, Renee, the numbers just are not great against right-handers right now. But that's okay. Again, and we're talking at the margins. What are we worrying about?
On the other side of that, you had against Fried, who came into today. I was blown away when I heard this stat on the broadcast. A 1.56 ERA over his last 3 games, and he had given up just 3 earned runs in his last 17 and third innings pitched, and then allowed 3 runs in 1 inning today against the Phillies.
Yeah.
The Phillies had gotten, 9 hits going into the bottom of the 4th that the Phillies had hits, scored, and got after a really good pitcher. And yes, they did have, as we talk about leaving runners in scoring position, 8 of those were in the first 4 innings. They left 8 runners in scoring position. And then as the game, so there's another, if you want to take a step back and look bigger picture, the Phillies left 8 runners stranded in the first 4 innings of their 11. Okay, so let's do the math.
They scored all these runs, and they still left all that meat on the bone. It's fantastic. You can't say enough about this team and the lineup and what they're doing with these key players out. Which again, just keep going back to thinking you're going to add one of the best home run hitters in the league in Kyle Schwarber to this team. That again just hung up 8 runs on Max Fried, a great pitcher. The Atlanta Braves, great team. 8 runs with no. You're going to add superstar Bryce Harper. You're going to add Schwarber. You're going to add one of the best catchers in the game in JT Realmuto. It's terrific. And while we're on the subject of Bryce Harper, I do want to say, Renee, you were talking about the diehard memberships earlier, and Harper indicating on the broadcast that he listens to some sports talk radio. If he's willing to modernize and if he's willing to move out of the world of terrestrial radio into, I'll make this offer to Bryce Harper right now. If he becomes a PHLY diehard, I will pay 20% of his membership fee. He gets 20% off if he becomes a diehard today. He still gets the T-shirt. That's my offer to you, Bryce. If you're watching, and I know you probably are. He doesn't need it.
He doesn't need a discount.
$330 million man. You don't think that's going to entice him? A couple bucks.
No. We should be giving somebody else a diehard membership on his behalf. He gets a +1.
All right, we'll do that.
No, he should. I heard that. I was I felt like that was the stars aligning, that Bryce was saying he loves to listen to Philly sports shows to hear about the other teams. Yes. And here we are with plenty to talk about. If you don't want to hear about the Phillies, you don't even have to watch our show. You can watch our Eagles, our Flyers, our Union, our Sixers shows. You can watch Cousins' show. There's plenty of options for you here, Bryce.
Oh, look at everybody we got on the roster here. The Eagles guys.
I know Bryce Harper.
Come on, Bryce.
It is wild when you think about that would be fantastic, by the way. That'd be so cool. I know people are talking about Reese Hoskins in the chat and different things that are coming up. This Phillies did make some other minor moves though. We saw the right-handed pitcher Tyler Phillips that the Phillies did make a move for. So that was interesting to see. Tyler Phillips was someone that grew up as a Phillies fan, went to Bishop Eustace in South Jersey. Shout out to us Jersey crew. And then the Phillies did have to make room for him on the 26-man roster. So Junior Marte was optioned to Lehigh Valley, and then to make room on the 40-man, Luis Ortiz was transferred to the 60-day IL. But the Phillies did announce they had a minor move, as they were able to select the contract of right-handed pitcher Tyler Phillips from AAA Lehigh Valley prior to the game today. Who knows? He's 26. He's made 15 starts for Lehigh Valley this season. He's 7-3 on the season with a 4.89 ERA, 50 earned runs in the 92 innings pitched and 78 strikeouts. But He's also he's pitched 2 complete games. And what we know about the Phillies, like we saw with David Dahl, Spencer Turnbull, Cody Clemens, like they find a way to get the best out of these. I know Weston Wilson was brought up. The Phillies find a way to get the best out of these around the edges pieces. So cool to see in that moment. And it just has me curious, like what we'll learn about Phillips and what we'll see about him as a Jersey guy that a year ago was watching the Phillies. I know Alex Coffey put out a piece on him. He was watching game 2 of the NLCS and was like, he was ready. He just came off Tommy John surgery. He was like, I want to go play. And here he is now. So cool full circle moment.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I read Alex's piece. It's great. A local guy, a shot with his team. It's incredible. Hoping for the best. Not expecting too much out of Tyler Phillips. Just looking at his track record. I mean, this is a guy. He's been hanging around the minor leagues since 2015. When he was first drafted, it hasn't made a major league appearance yet. I would temper our expectations.
Yes.
For Mr. Phillips, but who knows? Because there've been so many under the radar moves that the Phillies have made over the past few years. I mean, who was even particularly excited about Brandon Marsh when he first joined the team? We were like, okay, well, it looks like he's a pretty good fielder and be a good glove out there, helps shore up the defense, and he turns into a core player. There are so many other examples of guys that the Phillies have brought in here. So maybe Phillips is one of those. They do player development has gone from sort of a joke in some years for the Phillies to a strength. One of the most remarkable things about this organization. And you'd like to see what they might be able to do with them. They saw something in them. To bring them off waivers. But we'll see what happens. And it's always a great story when there's somebody local that was.
I love that.
It's just great stuff.
I love that. And just really quickly, Colin, the Union show that you and I host, how dare you be on the show? I host that Union show. I know the Union, they are struggling right now, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about a winning Philly team, and that's the Phillies. But thank you, I guess. Listen, this team, as we get ready to wrap up, because we have gone a little bit over time here on this Friday night, this team does continue to bring out the best. We saw the numbers for Edmundo Sosa. Nick Castellanos coming into yesterday's game with a 276 average, 7 home runs, 25 RBIs, and an 809 OPS across 39 games since May 19th. Christopher Sanchez, so I know it was mentioned and we talked about him. You've got Sanchi, who just got the contract extension. He got NL Pitcher of the Month. He had pitched to a complete game shutout and then turns around, gave up 6 earned runs in total in June, and then gave up in his last outing, unfortunately, in that we're not really going to talk about. We're not talking about the Thursday game, but it did happen. And in that game for Sanchez to struggle, that was the first time we've seen him give up a home run in 71 innings. And it wasn't a good showing for him at all in that game. But you haven't seen him give up runs. 6 earned runs in June, and he gave up 7 against the Cubs. These are the things. Everybody's going to have that moment of being human. And what I like about this team that I don't want to continue to be overly positive about, but this is a positive. If Sanchez having a bad day, somebody else is stepping up. If every game, whether it's someone being injured and physically not playing or struggling in the game, they are stepping up for each other. They're supporting each other. They're picking each other back up. You lose 10-2, and then you turn around and beat the Braves 8-6 in a game where you have production from everybody. Literally everybody helped contribute.
It's great. It is weird to come on here so often and just say all these positive things about the team. It's very much against my nature. I don't know about you, Renee, but to me, I'm a complainer, but this is different. I think commenter The Fightins says it right here. This is the season I used to dream about.
Yes.
That's where we are right now. That's fantastic. And, we'll see what happens in the postseason. And, that's going to be a whole different animal. But for right now, in terms of enjoying the summer and watching your team win baseball games most nights, more often than not, come on, this is great. This is, this is what we suffered a decade for, just waiting for this team to come back and be the team like it is now. Even the past couple seasons when they made the postseason, they weren't at the top of the division. was a fun October, but this is a team really giving us a full fun summer, something that we haven't really seen since, 2011 was 13 years ago now. So enjoy the ride is my advice to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we have the first time since 1982 that the Phillies have 3 all-star starters in Bryce, Alec, and Trey. They dominated the votes for Alec and Bryce. Trey squeezed in with 51% of the votes. His third time. It's great to see Alec get his first all-star. He's also going to be involved in the home run derby, which was a cute moment that I saw mention that he won a derby during summer ball in the Coastal Plain League. So he asked his coach, Scott Wingo, who threw the ball to him then, to be involved and throw the ball and pitch for the home run derby. Like, this group is fun. This is enjoyable. And I do agree there are some small areas, whether it's bringing another outfield piece, bringing another bullpen arm, trying to figure things out with Whit Merrifield, Johan Rojas, Christian Pache, the bottom of the roster, guys. You have depth pieces and Cody Clemens, Edmundo Sosa. There's a positive. But they have some small things to work on. But overall, as you said, John, it's a Friday. We just had 4th of July. The fireworks are I still hear fireworks in Philly. We can just sit back and enjoy this team, because as we get into the weekend, of course, now they've set themselves up. You've got game 1. Hopefully they can continue to win this series against the Braves. That would be fantastic, because this is a part of the season that people had them ready to stumble. Oh, they're going to play the Cubs and the Braves and the Dodgers, and the Phillies are going to struggle. And here they are. They just beat the Cubs in that series, and they just won game 1 of this series. So the Phillies keep on rolling, guys. They definitely have a lot of the pieces, and there's not much that you can really point to except those minor areas that need to be tweaked. So I love what we're getting right now. Another victory post-game show, number 100 win for Aaron Nola, becoming the 8th Philly to ever accomplish that feat. And the Phillies keep on rolling. John, any final notes nuggets you want to share before we wrap this bad boy up? Because we are heading to the after hours now.
Yeah, I don't know, Renee. I think we covered it all. It's just now nothing left but the celebration. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend, and just keep watching your Phillies win. Life is good.
Phillies are good, and things are great when the Phillies are good. We will be back on Monday, and we'll have another show for you guys Monday at 11 a.m. that John and Tyler will be hosting. I believe it's at 11. It's not a post. Yeah.
11 a.m. on Monday. We'll recap the weekend.
Yes, and we'll have a chance to hopefully be recapping another series victory for the Phillies, chasing number 17. It could be a sweep, could be their 10th sweep of the season. If they could sweep the Braves, we would all be so happy. The Phillies are good. They are winning. They continue winning. I hope you all had a fantastic 4th of July. Be safe this weekend as you're celebrating the holiday, continuing to just get outside and enjoy the summer. And for my buddy John, myself, Renee, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of PHLY Phillies podcast. We've got more coming your way on Monday. Let's go Phillies. Keep winning. And we'll see you back 11 a.m. Monday. Bye, guys.
Bills.
We all silly like the mayor.